And the series record, Duke leads at 34-17, but they've split the last 4. A look at Drew Barry, and we're all set to go. Duke will have it first.
Georgia Tech starts in the man-to-man defense.
Duke in blue, Tech in white. This is Collins to Hill, left open. This is for 3, around the rim, and comes back out. And Newble's got his first rebound of the night.
That's a tough matchup for Fred Vinson. Look for Grant Hill to try to post him up as this game goes on. Duke also starts in the man-to-man. Vinson has averaged more than 15 points a game over his last 4. Missed that shot.
Had the shot, couldn't get it to drop. Capel. Hill with the rebound, and oh, did he play well against Clemson. 33 points in that game, and here's Collins.
Well, not only did he score 33 points, Tim, he stole the basketball, he dished out a couple of assists, he rebounded the basketball, played tough on the defensive end. Really a complete game.
Lang has it blocked, and Parks gets it back. Collins. And Newble has rebound number 2. Best? Yes. The deuce.
Anytime you're playing against Georgia Tech, you've got to make sure you do a good job in the transition defense, finding Travis Best in particular.
Inside, the Cherokee Parks takes it up strong and banks it in.
That's the guy we talked about at the top of the broadcast. He's a very powerful inside player. Showed you some of his strength that time going against both Newbill and Forrest.
Here is Parks with a running one-hander and gets the roll. 4-2 Tech.
Parks and Lang talking to one another as they're going down the court. I think Parks expected to have some double team help that time, didn't get it.
Nice pass inside to Parks. He stepped on the line.
Pass was just a little too long, and Travis Best did a good job coming down, double teaming Parks. He stepped on the line.
55 straight weeks, Duke has been in the top 10. They lost their #1 ranking this week, but still an outstanding ball club ranked 2nd in the country. This is Travis Best.
It's a pretty tough matchup for Capel, I would think.
Power move, locked down by Lang. Forget the bad ankle.
Boy, that's just a tremendous one-on-one defensive play right there.
Capel overthrows Collins in the corner. That's the 2nd turnover.
I mean to tell you, he didn't overthrow him by a little bit either.
Capel looked like a freshman that time.
I don't know that anybody's really a freshman anymore. That young man's played a lot of minutes. He's playing more and more. We're halfway through the season.
Well, not only that, Dan, but you're right. You know, these kids today, they grow up as clinic babies. They're so fundamentally sound. When they get to this level, they really aren't like freshmen. They all play together on the playgrounds all summer. Best on Capel. This is from beyond the arc. 5 points for Travis Best. He did this against Maryland on Saturday.
Well, that's really going to put some negative thoughts in your minds if you're the defensive players. Can't guard him much better than that.
Nice pass to Parks.
And you can't guard Parks much worse than that.
Capel looked like a senior on that one. Travis Best was matched up with a freshman on Saturday, and it was almost like a personal challenge to him. He just took the game over. This foul's going to be against Newbill, I believe.
Fouls against Newbill.
It is. That's his first.
Newbill had a very good game on Saturday. Didn't score a lot of points, but did a nice job rebounding, playing defense. Really matched up well against Maryland's Joe Smith. Had some help, of course, but I really think Newbill's a guy who's got to play well for Georgia Tech.
Threw an illegal kick that time. It was almost like a crackback block trying to take Hill out. Here's Collins.
Vincent looking to run the ball up the court.
No look pass to Forrest. Either Forrest wasn't ready or Barry, who now says it was my fault, threw it too far out in front of him.
Forrest was open underneath the basket, the ball whizzed right by his hand. He just didn't see Barry make the pass. Duke's got to get back quicker on transition defense.
Big rebound inside by Lang. Ball's loose. Here comes Best. Numbers aren't there.
This is his 5th start in a row. Over his previous 4 starts, he's averaged better than 15 points a game. That's called taking advantage of your opportunities. And once again, Duke sort of standing in transition, allowing Georgia Tech an easy basket.
Vincent now the 3rd leading scorer on this ball club. Transfer from Shawan Junior College. And look at Hill. That's about as much as you'll see him gloat after a basket. Very humble, talented young man.
Forrest really asking for the ball inside against Lang. Now he moves out to the top.
9-6 Georgia Tech. Tim Brandt, Dan Bonner with you from Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice interior defense by the Blue Devils.
Best frees up. Nice pump fake and just lays it in. 7 points for the Best.
Nobody came to get him because they were afraid of the dump-off pass to one of the big guys inside. Best recognized the situation, took it all the way to the basket.
Inside the Parks. They double down on him. They call the foul on Newville.
That was a tremendous catch inside by Cherokee Parks.
That's the 2nd on Newville, and Bobby Cremins is not happy about it.
Bobby Cremins feels like it was a good double team. You can see there he got an explanation, but obviously from his reaction he still doesn't like the explanation.
Bobby didn't waste any time though. He's out. Alisma is in. Parks at the line. He's a 75% free throw shooter.
Interesting thing about Parks, he took his first jump shot from the corner as we get a look at Newville on the bench, and he missed it. And with Parks not shooting the ball well, it'll be interesting as this game goes on if he continues to shoot that ball with confidence.
Throws up a brick here. Georgia Tech 11, Duke 7. Crowd wanted Parks called for a foul. Lisman brings it back out to Vincent.
Now, Leisman not near the physical specimen that Newville can be inside.
Rebound Parks. Hill on the break. Left side Collins to Lang. Nicely done.
Georgia Tech attacking very quickly after giving up a transition basket.
2-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Best makes sure he's beyond the arc and then throws up an air ball. Falling away, not a good shot.
Well, he started falling away by trying to take that big step to get behind the line. Duke not really shooting very well early from the perimeter.
Pretty good pace to this ball game right now. They double down on Forrest and take it away. Capel pushes it. He forces a shot.
Oh, did you see Best explode out of there?
The speed dribble right side to Barry.
He got the rebound and just with tremendous quickness and strength got his head and shoulders out in front of the pack, pushed the ball out front. That's a heck of a play by Best.
13-9 Tech. Here's Parks. White jerseys all over the rebounding. Forrest working on Lang. Tries to free up. Goes with the left hand. 12:41 to go in the first half. 13-9 Georgia Tech. Timeout on the floor. We'll take one as well, and we'll be back after a word from our good friends at Budweiser.
Number 55.
Travis Best, one of the country's premier point guards, and he shows you what being a point guard is all about. Gets his man off his feet as he goes to the basket. Nobody steps in front of him. Everybody more worried about the pass than the shot, and he takes it all the way to the basket.
And that's the MCI proof positive instant replay.
Gonna look at Travis Best. Now Georgia Tech's backcourt has outscored Duke's 9-0, and that's important. In the first game between these two teams, Collins had 18 points, Capel had 10.
This is Alisma. Barbich in the ball game now for Georgia Tech. You know, he played a lot against Maryland on Saturday and did quite well. Stole a lot of minutes for Bobby Cremins to rest some of his starters.
Meek and Clark and Beard are in the ball game for Mike Krzyzewski's squad. Grant Hill now matched up against Travis Best in the man-to-man defense. Grant Hill, last year's National Defensive Player of the Year.
First time we've had to mention the shot clock. It's at 8. Crowd starts to call it out for Best. He fires. Elisma inside, and he's fouled.
Now, as a coach, that just drives you crazy. With the shot clock running down, Georgia Tech sends everybody to the baseline, and Travis Best tries to operate against Grant Hill. Hill does not let him penetrate by. You see Grant Hill.
You mentioned he was the nation's best defensive player last year. Well, they do that quite often down in Duke, don't they?
Duke has a tradition of great defense, but as Mike Krzyzewski would tell you, your defense doesn't end until you have the basketball. And despite the good effort by Grant Hill on Travis Best, Elisma broke through for the offensive rebound. There's another offensive rebound.
Forrest with the follow.
Remember now, Meek and Beard just came off the bench, and they better get settled in very quickly.
Georgia Tech very rebound conscious when Elisma's at the line. He's only a 44% free throw shooter. Clark has his blocked. Barbich pushes it. Omni pushes it the distance.
Barbich, the young man from France. Is that what you call going coast to coast?
That is definitely it. Clark's shot.
He got that one blocked again. He's had 2 shots blocked in 2 attempts.
Barbich gives it up to Barry. They overpassed it. Duke takes it back.
Boy, Barbich jumps up off the floor and gets right in the middle trying to get the ball back. Duke hasn't been very patient on the offensive end of the court early in the basketball game.
Collins has it blocked. Barry to Best overthrows him. That's 5 turnovers for Georgia Tech. 18-9 Yellow Jackets. 10:55 to go. We'll be back after a word from our good friends at Budweiser. Yes, yes, no, no. Everybody out here today.
I don't know. That doesn't look at all like Bobby Cremins and Mike Krzyzewski. Watch too much television.
That was you. 18-9 Georgia Tech. 10:50 to go first half.
Georgia Tech for the first time today in a 2-3 zone.
Cable cross-court pass. Clark. Oh, look at the big follow inside by the Chief.
Sometimes you lose those blockout responsibilities in the zone. If you're going to get anybody on Duke's team, you better get a body on Cherokee Parks.
Parks now has 7 points.
Duke has been having a very difficult time getting the ball to go in the basket, but one of the reasons is the blocked shots.
Rebound, Meek.
The Duke perimeter people have been able to penetrate to the basket.
Cherokee Park from way outside.
I think Meek is going to pick up the foul there.
Bill Meek for pushing. His second.
Duke foul number 52, Eric Meek. That's his second.
It's good hustle that time by Meek. The key to the game thus far is while Duke's perimeter people have been able to get by Georgia Tech on the perimeter, the big guys inside doing a great job blocking shots.
Just like Tech started against Maryland on Saturday. Starting with a hot hand here, 61% from the field. Here's Forrest with a turnaround. Look at Elisma inside. Touches it last, but great hustle on the boards.
Where Newbill gives you strength, Elisma a little bit more quickness, a little bit more finesse, and that time he was able to use his quickness to get around Cherokee Park's attempted block out.
Ivana Newbill will come out and come back into the game, and Forrest will go out. Gets his first rest of the game.
Forrest only has 2 points in the ball game. To this point, Duke has done a pretty good job defensively on him.
This is Clark. Barbich almost had the steal.
Vincent asking for the double dribble.
Hill got the pick he needed, couldn't hit the shot. And Barbich mugs Clark. Reminder to stay tuned at halftime for the Volkswagen ACC Women's Report.
Antonio Lang coming back in the game. Grant Hill going to get a rest.
Drew Berry comes back in for Tech, and Travis Best will get his first breather. Pretty good pace to this ball game so far.
And I think that's why both coaches are going to their bench early. This is a game that's not going to be decided right now. There's more. Barbich goes out of the game. Martise Moore, of course, sprained an ankle.
Martise did not even make the trip this past weekend up to the College Park because of that ankle. Here's Lang with the follow. Battle for the boards, and last touch, I believe, by Newbill.
Georgia Tech has not done a very good job on the defensive boards in that zone defense. The Duke Blue Devils have been able to find the lanes to the basket.
Clark frees up and hits the shot.
Clark has done such a great job coming off the bench for the Duke Blue Devils. Really gives them a great offensive spark.
Vincent had the drive and then gave it up. Tried to pass back. Here comes Collins. Nice pass to Lang. And they say he walked.
Collins walked with the basketball before he released it. Coaches talk about it from the time kids are in the second grade. The jump stop. Watch him here as he picks up the ball, runs with it.
That's the fourth turnover for Georgia Tech, or for Duke rather. Moore banks it in.
That's a great backdoor cut by Martise Moore. Tendency on that play sometimes is to try to get it all the way to the basket, and sometimes you draw a charge when you do that, but Moore pulled up for the short jump shot. Nice play.
Look at Clark trying to force the action. They bring it back out to Collins. Not on purpose either. Great defense inside by Tech. Here's Capel for two.
That's a good job by Duke to not try to force it in there after the blocked shot attempt. They moved the ball. And a nice easy jump shot.
That cuts Tech's lead to 5. Georgia Tech now with 5 blocks already in this game. Moore again. Martise with 2 quick baskets. Pushes it back to a 7-point lead for the Yellow Jackets.
Tech back to the man-to-man.
Parks with a good pump fake. And he's fouled.
That's a real solid play by Cherokee Parks. He hasn't been able to get the perimeter jumper to go down. He sets the screen, pops out and catches the ball. With the fake, he gets by Newbill. He's going to take the ball all the way to the basket. That's usually a move associated with a much smaller man, but that's a pretty good play. When you're not shooting the ball well, get a little closer to the basket. That's exactly what Parks was trying to do.
Foul was on Martise Moore. That is his first as you look at Bobby Crimmins. So Cherokee Parks goes to the line. 75% free throw shooter. He has worked hard on his upper body strength, and we've seen that already here in the first half, how he's used it.
He's one of those young men that came into college with people expecting an awful lot of him. And he has very gradually grown into his position at Duke, and he's one of the finest inside players in the country. 8 points and 4 rebounds early in this game.
Can't hit the second when Newbill has another rebound for Tech. 22-16 is our score. 7:23 to go in the first half. Lang is called for the foul here. That's his first.
If you're going to come across from the back in the manner that Antonio Lang just did, you're going to smack the ball, then most of the times you're going to get the foul call. Mike Krzyzewski doesn't agree.
Georgia Tech doing an outstanding job defensively. Right now has the Blue Devils down 22-16.
The 6-point lead, and one of the biggest factors in the ball game has been Georgia Tech's ability to block shots. Here, Clark takes it in the lane. James Forrest with the swat away right there. That's 5 blocked shots in the game for Georgia Tech, and Duke having a pretty easy time getting by on the perimeter. They've got to start looking for the dump-off pass. If guys are coming to block the shots, somebody else has to be open.
That outstanding defense has given them a 5-point lead with 7:21 to go. Correction, 6-point lead.
The Duke Blue Devils have 8 offensive rebounds in this game, but they've only been able to convert them into 6 points.
Here's Collins with a steal. Hill gets it. And Hill is fouled before the shot by Travis Best.
I don't care whether the foul was before the shot or not. That was a great job of getting the ball to the basket by Grant Hill. That's the correct call. The foul was before the shot, but my goodness, despite the contact, now Forrest here does a great job holding off Collins. That big strong arm there keeps Collins away, but watch as Grant Hill takes it to the basket. Here's the foul right there. All in one motion, he gets that ball up to the basket.
So they come out to mop up the mess from where everybody was down trying to recover the fumble. The officials tonight, Frank Scagliotta and Donnie Gray. Bob Donato was supposed to be here. Couldn't get down here because of the weather, and so Andre Patillo, who lives right here in Atlanta, has taken over.
You see Grant Hill having a big game, or a big season last year. Big season and a big game at Georgia Tech. In fact, until his outburst on Saturday, that 29 points was his career high.
Good tough man-to-man defense by Georgia Tech. Good motion by Duke. Here's Lang.
There's another example of what I'm talking about. They're able to get by the perimeter defense, but then they don't convert the shot on the inside.
Inside to Moore.
Pass.
Moore fouled by Capel. That's his first.
The Duke defensive intensity just doesn't seem to be as strong as sometimes that I've seen it. There's Capel coming from behind, knocking the ball away. This is just, that is a bullet pass by Barry. Moore does a great job to catch the ball.
Wonder if fatigue is perhaps a factor. This is 3 games in 6 days for Duke. It is a tough stretch right now.
Most teams have tough stretches about this time of the year, and Mike Krzyzewski's kids, something you have to be able to adapt to. If they intend to be successful in tournament play, they're going to have more tough stretches.
Moore misses them both. Google gets it back. Moore to Best to Barry to Moore. He's open. Bingo.
That just drives you crazy if you're a coach to give up the offensive rebound off the free throw. Georgia Tech just simply beaten Duke to the basketball.
Great ball movement that time, and Moore has 7 points.
Georgia Tech goes back to the zone.
Parks throws up a tough shot.
Another offensive rebound for Duke. Both Parks and Lang inside looking for the basketball, not getting it.
Collins left alone. He's beyond the arc. Can't get it to go.
Another offensive rebound.
Perimeter passing by the Blue Devils. Good defense by the Jackets.
Well, plenty of time left on the shot clock.
Here's Hill.
And now we're going to get a foul on Antonio Lang, and I think that's 2 fouls on Lang. He was coming over the back of James Forrest.
That is 2 on Tony Lang.
Sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the basket. The Duke Blue Devils had some good looks at it. They moved the ball well on the offensive end. Duke 0 for 4 from behind the 3-point arc.
And on the other side, Georgia Tech 2 for 4.
Now the interesting thing is Antonio Lang leaves the game and Meek comes in the ball game. Lang was the guy who was doing the defensive work against James Forrest. So we'll see now if Forrest gets more involved in the offense.
Big lineup in now for Duke. 9-point lead by Georgia Tech. Here's Martise Moore with a hot hand.
Martise Moore just feels like he can take Jeff Capel, and he is dominating Jeff Capel at this point in the ball game.
He's having fun. Boy, they're playing with confidence.
They jumped out to a 13-point lead at Duke, and they weren't able to hold it.
Nice pass. Meek left alone. Cannot get the shot. Boy, they're having a tough time right now. 3 on 2. Best. Out to Barry. Beyond the arc. This place would have exploded. In the corner to Hill. Hill trying to get something going. Tells Collins to settle down, plenty of time. Here's Parks. Nice little jump hook.
That's where the ball has to go. That zone is very concerned with getting to the guys on the perimeter. Parks has been open in there. He's been doing a nice job getting position, but he hasn't been receiving the basketball.
Cherokee now with 10 points. Big difference so far, bench scoring. Georgia Tech, 12 points off the bench. Duke just 2, and most of those have come from Martise Moore. This foul will be against Capel, and that's his second.
Capel was on the back of James Forrest down on the inside, and you know Capel didn't want to be there. You know the Duke coaching staff didn't design any special kind of defense to have him there, but Georgia Tech, recognizing very well, gets James Forrest the ball.
Ivana Noble goes out. Newbill will get a rest while Elisma comes back in. Boy, if there has been a weakness with the Yellow Jackets tonight, it's been at the line. Moore goes out. Vincey comes back in. But Georgia Tech just 1 for 4 from the charity line.
2 fellas, 2 shots.
It is a trouble spot as you look at Martise. Toward the conclusion of our telecast, we'll be announcing the players of the game, brought to you by Nations Bank. Forrest makes his second one. It is a 10-point lead, the largest lead of the night for Tech, with 3:59 to go first half. It's ACC Operation Outreach Award winner is Chris Havlicek from the University of Virginia. Chris is a volunteer with Virginia's Heroes program. Heroes is a group of student athletes at Virginia who make weekly visits to a Charlottesville elementary school. Chris talks with the youngsters about setting goals, staying in school, staying away from drugs. Congratulations to Chris Havlicek from Discus Athletic, a proud corporate partner of ACC Operation Outreach.
You see Grant Hill bringing the ball up the court. Duke trailing by 10 on the season. Hill and Lang average 30 points a game between them. Tonight they have 4. There's Clark hitting the tough basket.
Right over top of Barry, cuts the lead to 8 with 3:43 to go in the first half.
Of course, Lang for Duke on the bench with those 2 personal fouls.
Best on Hill.
Best would like to go inside to James Forrest. He does.
And Forrest takes it right at the bucket.
Now remember what we talked about when Antonio Lang left the ball game. It had been he who was matched up against James Forrest. That time Cherokee Parks didn't give his running mate much help on the inside. Forrest with the easy basket.
Parks with a turnaround. That bucket went in and out. Vincent to Forrest. And Parks with a rebound.
Parks' shot hasn't been going in with much regularity, but he's playing a pretty good ball game tonight. There's a bad pass by Collins.
And great anticipation by Forrest. Look at Best pushing. And he's fouled.
You never want to take the ball and throw it back out with the defense running down the court. If you've got it on the baseline, keep it down there. And then Best, just with the great quickness, got Grant Hill on his heels. Hill reaches in instead of moving his feet to get in front, and Best converts it. Goes in the stands for a visit and now comes back to the free throw line.
ACC Player of the Week 3 times. He was 10 for 13 against Maryland. Controlled the game, but can't hit this free throw. 12-point lead is the largest of the game.
You wonder whether these missed free throws are going to come back to haunt the Yellow Jackets later on in the ballgame.
Parks backs in, Moots follows. His first bucket of the night.
Elisma was in between that time. He didn't come all the way to help Parks, but he didn't get back in enough time to block out Meeks, and so Meeks was able to get it.
Clark doing a nice job on Barry. If you're a basketball fan, how can you not love this matchup? Hill and Best. Look at Elisma battle underneath. Hill makes the save.
That's just great battle under the basket by Parks, by Elisma, by Grant Hill. James Forrest feels pretty confident against Eric Meek. Just about every time Forrest touches the ball, he's trying to shoot it there. Hill gets fouled going into the lane.
I believe this will be against Coliseum. It is. That's his first.
I think one of the things that you have to recognize if you're Eric Meek or if you're Cherokee Parks or one of the guys playing inside for Duke is that when the guards penetrate past their guys on the perimeter, you've got to move into position where a Grant Hill can get you an easy pass for a score. If you just stand, you force the guards to take it all the way to the basket, and that's when they get their shots blocked.
Grant Hill misses the free throw. You see the numbers.
Best missed from the free throw line just a couple of minutes ago.
Hill 65 for 87 at the line this year. Missed them both. Here's Meek. Has it blocked, and he's fouled by Martise Moore.
Bobby Cremins feels that Eric Meek pushed off. Let's see, Moore is saying I had it blocked out, but he pushed me.
Meek, another one of the California guys. He's a junior, 6'10", 245 pounds. Now, Meek is not a very good free throw shooter. 52% for the year.
But the good free throw shooters have been missing it.
Figures. The announcers for this game selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited.
Martise Moore with 2 personal fouls takes a seat on the bench. Newbill, his teammate there on the bench, also has 2 personal fouls.
Cuts the lead to 8 with 1:43 to go in the first half.
Meek gets them both, and if you're Mike Krzyzewski and your team has shot 29% from the field, and you're only down 8 with 1 minute and 43 seconds left to go on the road, you probably don't feel too bad.
Coach K takes Meek out, Capel back in, and now he is on best.
Of course, you'd rather be up by 8 points, and you're never satisfied with being down by 8 points. But given how poorly Duke has shot the basketball, they're fortunate to be in this game.
Shot clock really has not been a factor in this game. Here's Best, frees up from beyond the arc and throws it up too hard. Vincent comes up with a long rebound.
Grant Hill did a nice job coming over and helping against Travis Best. Got his hand up in the way of that 3-point shot.
Clock resets. Bobby Cremins tells him to use some of the clock. Forrest running one-hander.
Boy, that's a bad shot.
Vincent gets it back way outside the barrier. Bobby's still trying to get their attention, telling them to use the clock.
Well, the shot clock reset, Tim, but I didn't think that that ball hit the rim.
Seconds to go in the half. 15 on the shot clock. 8 on the shot clock. Forrest on Parks. Oh, Parks is called for the foul. That's only his first.
Forrest created that foul by a good, strong square up to the basket. He takes it, he turns to the basket, tries to get his shoulders. Watch him as he turns here. Here's the pivot. Goes right in front of Parks with the basketball. Parks reaches in, knocks the ball out of his hand, gets called for the foul. And it's that good, strong pivot toward the basket that created that free throw opportunity for James Forrest.
Forrest rolls it in. James Forrest leads the Atlantic Coast Conference in points per game within the conference. He's averaging 20 points in the ACC play. Tonight he has 8 points, 1 rebound, and he's 3 for 4 from the line.
That's the time left in the half. The shot clock, of course, is off.
Lead is back to 10 points for Georgia Tech. Hill running one-hander, banks it in nicely.
Grant Hill is just really going through a stretch of basketball where he's playing superbly.
Makes it look so easy.
That was a tough shot.
You hear the crowd. That's the time left in the half. Best is going to use it all. Frees up.
He's going to get an offensive foul called. That's an offensive foul called against Travis Best for the hook. And that's his second foul right at the halftime buzzer.
That is his second personal.
Capel does a real nice job defensively as Best works it. Watch Best lose the basketball right here. That's when Best wanted to make his move. Now he's stuck. There's the fake. Capel squares up. That elbow comes around as he forces his way past, and he was called for the offensive foul.
Terrific first half of basketball. Surprise, the Yellow Jackets 34, Duke 26.
Today's ACC action is brought to you by Pizza Hut, Ford Mustang, Food Lion, and by Nationwide Insurance.
From the field with 9 points in the first half, played very confidently. For Duke, one of the big stories is that despite this very fine drive to the basket right here, Grant Hill only scored 4 points in the first half. Hill with 4, Antonio Lang with 2. That's been a big problem for the Duke Blue Devils.
Tech's backcourt, Best and Barry, 11 points, 5 assists. Capel and Collins for Duke, 2 points, 6 assists. And we'll be back with the second half right after this.
Jefferson Pilot Sports exclusive coverage of ACC basketball is brought to you by Discus Athletic, Budweiser, Central Fidelity Bank, and by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company.
34-26, Georgia Tech has the lead here at the Alexander Memorial Coliseum, and it has been all Tech thus far in this ball game. Hey, there's Doug Collins, former 76er, head coach of the Chicago Bulls, and the dad of Chris Collins. And Doug Costner, all the stars out in Atlanta. Or Kevin Costner.
Kevin Collins and Doug Costner, right? Okay.
We're all over.
There you go.
All the stars out here in Atlanta, including Dan Bonner.
Kevin, you get a look there at Chris Collins. He has not scored in this ball game. He's 0 for 4, 0 for 2 from three-point range. He scored 18 points in the first matchup between these two teams. And as this goes right along with what we were saying, it has not been a solid offensive first half for the Duke Blue Devils. They have not been able to convert their offensive rebounds, and they have shot the ball very poorly. Kevin Costner supposedly met Bobby Cremins at the Super Bowl. Bobby told him anytime he wanted to, just give him a call. He could come to a game. And then when Costner called him last week, said he'd like to come to this game, Bobby thought it was a joke.
Found out it was time for dances with Yellow Jackets and Blue Devils, and not Wolves.
And there Capel picks up the personal foul.
That's his third.
Foul number 5, Jeff Capel.
It just hasn't seemed to me to be the kind of intensity on the defensive end for which Duke is noted. And, of course, Georgia Tech has something to do with that.
You know, you talked about, Dan, tough stretches now for everybody this time of the year. But they play Thursday, Saturday, and Tuesday against UNC, Clemson, and Tech. That is a tough stretch.
Sure, it's a tough stretch, but when you play in this league, you better be ready for tough stretches.
Vincent can't get it to go. Parks, Newell, he banks it off Collins. Great
and he lands on top of Kevin Costner. Nice catch there, Kevin. Well, he said he wanted to come to the game. The game came to him in the person of Ivano Newbill.
He was all over it.
Wonder how many times 6'10", 260-pound guys land in his lap on the movie set.
Time for the stuntman. Here's Collins. He's got a 3-on-2. Gives it up left side to Hill. He scores. He's fouled by Best.
We showed you in our US Air halftime stats that Duke only had 2 points off turnovers in the first half. Here they convert very well. Travis Best either has to get in front to try to draw the charge or just get out of the way. Now Ivano Newbill goes bouncing out of bounds. And there's the Kevin Costner save. He's just trying to get an autograph, I think.
All of a sudden, Bobby Cremins has a problem. Travis Best has 3 personals. Hill completes the three-point play. And it's 34-29.
That might be a bigger problem if it were an inside guy, but an experienced veteran like Travis Best playing on the perimeter ought to be able to avoid that fourth personal foul.
He had 4 against Maryland. Here's Barry. Again, Hill penetrates, and Meek follows.
And Antonio Lang is down, and he's holding his knee.
Martise Moore is also down, but now he gets up, or Ivana Newbill, rather.
I think with all those bodies on the floor inside, that Antonio Lang may have stepped on someone. Hill penetrates to the basket. Antonio Lang is going to be coming in from your left. And that's exactly what happened. Somebody rolled across his leg. Ivano Newbill, as he hit the deck, rolled right across the side of the leg of Antonio Lang. And he's really hurting out there.
Antonio Lang had a bad ankle. We told you that. Did not play over the weekend. Worked out today, said it felt fine. Now this is something totally different.
That appears to be, they're not down on his ankle. They're obviously up there at his knee.
Get over here, big guys. Big guys.
Looking at the inside of that knee.
Mike Krzyzewski asking for big guys. He's got some. Oh, brother, you just don't want to see this. He can't even put any weight on that knee. Oh, my.
The weakest joint on the strongest limb of the body, the knee.
Number 3, Marty Clark in for Duke.
Marty Clark will come in and replace Antonio Lang.
Antonio Lang really blossoming here in his senior season. Having a tremendous year shooting the basketballs, had some big games, but now the concern is how badly is that knee injured. We'll try to find out, keep you up to date.
Duke on a pretty good run here. Vincent throws up a one-hander, and here come the Blue Devils. Best gets it back. And he's fouled.
Best penetrates into the lane.
This has been a 5-0 run by the Blue Devils as they continue to work on Tony Lang.
Tony Lang, you can see, has not had a good game today. Only 2 points and 4 rebounds. Those are first half statistics. Grant Hill picks up his second foul on that play. You know, for Travis Best, he's got 3 personal fouls. And the danger for Bobby Cremins is not that Best is going to pick up that 4th foul on the defensive end, but that he might pick it up with an offensive foul. You know, a guy can watch the fouls he picks up on defense, but on offense, sometimes you get carried away. It's a 5-second violation.
Foul on Best. The defensive player of the year on Best, and he shut him down. Nice job by Hill.
It's 10 turnovers now against Georgia Tech, and you simply can't give a team the caliber of Duke that many extra possessions in a basketball game. With the rule change, there's no 5 seconds while you're dribbling the basketball, but Best was not dribbling the ball.
Inside to Parks, he puts it on the floor, and Forrest with the rebound.
That was excellent defense inside. That was not an easy shot by Cherokee Parks. It was well contested.
Forrest loses it. Here comes Collins.
That's another turnover.
To Clark.
And this is what Duke was not able to do in the first half. One of the reasons that they shot 31% was that they didn't get that kind of easy shot.
It's a 7-0 run by Duke, and it's a 1-point game.
Georgia Tech still hasn't scored in this half. Duke has hit the first 7 coming out of the locker room.
Barry frees up, throws up the jumper.
And you're going to get a foul inside, this time against Ivano Newbill. That'll be number 3 on him.
Georgia Tech foul number 33.
17-24 to go in the ball game. Tim Brandt and Dan Bonner with you from Atlanta.
It's really amazing how quickly the role reversal in this game has occurred. In the first half, it was Georgia Tech getting the ball inside, getting the easy open shot. It was Duke struggling on the offensive end. It has been exactly the opposite in the second half.
Georgia Tech yet to score in this half as Ivana Newbill goes out.
Well, Newbill goes out, and Elisma's in, Barbich is in, Martise Moore is in. Bobby Cremins looking for some offensive spark.
Inside they go. This is Meek with the follow, and he's fouled by Barbich. Meek now has 8 points for Duke.
Meek has done a nice job coming off the bench for Duke. Again, Georgia Tech goes into the zone, and just about every other time they've gone to this zone tonight, they've had difficulty with the defensive rebounding. Barbich just doesn't get in front of Meek. Barbich, however, at 6'6", about 190 pounds, even if he does get in front of big Eric Meek, he's not going to be much of a match for him.
8 points, 5 rebounds tonight. Collins gets it back.
Nice tip out by Cherokee Parks.
Hill tries to force a pass inside. Here's Best, here's Clark, and Clark is called for the foul.
Clark hustling after the basketball, but what he did is he cut the legs of Travis Best out from under Travis Best when it looks like Best is going to pick up the basketball right there. That is not incidental contact. That was contact that gained an advantage for Duke because they knocked Travis Best off the ball. That's a good call.
Great hustle by both. Travis Best wants the floor cleaned. Well, ACC action continues this Thursday. The Maryland Terrapins, having lost 3 in a row, looking to snap out of it. But they have to go against the #1 team in the country, the Tar Heels of North Carolina. That's Thursday at 8 o'clock right here on the Atlantic Coast Conference Basketball Network.
And as Mike Krzyzewski could attest, the North Carolina Tar Heels playing very well at this point in time. There's Antonio Lang stretching out that knee. Georgia Tech, no field goals made in 2 attempts and 3 turnovers in the second half.
Not the way Bobby Cremins wanted to start.
Barbage picked up his dribble, very nearly had a 5 seconds called against. Nice pass.
Best to Forrest, yes. And just like that, Tech has the lead back.
Best created that play by penetrating and drawing the defense.
Collins for 3.
That's his first basket of the ball game. When you give that young man time to get his feet set, to get the ball up, he's an excellent 3-point shooter.
Only 2 lead changes tonight. The largest lead was 12 by Georgia Tech. Inside they go to Forrest. Over top the big guys. He has 13 points.
That was a very good entry pass to Forrest from an extremely tough angle by Barbage. You get the ball to James Forrest that close to the basket, he's usually going to convert.
Clark for 3.
With this smaller lineup to which Bobby Cremins has been forced to resort to try to get some offensive firepower into the game, they've had to go to the zone, and Duke has had the 3-point answer the last couple of trips.
Martise Moore had a hot hand in the first half. Gives it up to Best.
Duke's defense really doing a nice job double teaming on the basketball, then reacting back to their own men, jumping out over screens, really disrupting the Georgia Tech offense.
Blue Devils always known for aggressive man-to-man. This shot by Barbage way outside. Bad pass, Hill. He's got the numbers. Clark to Hill to Clark.
And that's a drill that kids work on every day in practice, that 2-man passing back and forth.
And Duke has its largest lead of the night at 5. 43-38, 15-10 to go. We'll be back after a word from our good friends at Bud Light. Duke has its largest lead of the night, 43-38. We've got 15-10 to go in the ball game. Since 1:40 to go in the first half, Duke has outscored Georgia Tech 17-4.
There's 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the first half when Duke went off on that run. We've now got 15 minutes left in the ball game. There's another turnover.
Collins very wisely pulls it out.
There's 13 turnovers now for Georgia Tech. You saw Antonio Lang back in the basketball game for the Duke Blue Devils. Seems to be moving pretty well. Glad to see that that injury wasn't serious.
Hill,
that's a 3. Georgia Tech really starting to stand around a little bit on the defensive end. Grant Hill has 6 points in the second half, 10 for the game.
46-38 after that tray by Hill.
There's the Duke defense continuing to disrupt the Georgia Tech offense. That's been the story of the second half so far.
The Yellow Jackets are disrupted. Totally out of sync right now. Here's Best. Didn't really square up. Last touch by Hill.
A lot of blue shirts on the floor going after loose balls in this half. In the first half, where it was Georgia Tech quicker to the basketball, in this half it's been the Duke Blue Devils.
Martise Moore comes in. We'll see if he can give them a spark. He did in the first half. Newville goes out. Boy, has Duke turned it on here in the second half.
I have no idea what this discussion is about right here.
The officials, Bob Donato, couldn't make it, so Andre Patillo is here along with Frank Scagliotta, Donnie Gray, and I believe they're talking about the clock.
The answer was whether the question was, and that ball goes out of bounds. Georgia Tech will keep it. On that last shot, whether or not the shot clock should have been reset. Georgia Tech shot the ball, it hit the rim, therefore the shot clock should have reset. Duke now outscoring Georgia Tech 20-4 so far in the second half. They've gone from 8 points down to 8 points ahead.
Travis Best against Hill. Now this has been a switch that has really worked in Duke's favor. Hill, an outstanding defensive player, as you know.
Duke getting very good pressure on the basketball, and they're also doing a good job getting into the passing lane.
Best frees up and drills it for three. Beyond the arc. He lost Hill with a pick.
Good screen by Martise Moore. Grant Hill shaking his head a little bit. That was pretty good play, though. That's a tough one for Grant Hill to defend.
Best with 11 points now. It's a 6-point Duke lead. Here's Collins.
Perry 4 on 2.
3 on 2 to Forrest. Blocked by Clark, and Collins is called for the foul.
Georgia Tech gets everybody out on the fast break. Meek is pointing, telling somebody to pick up James Forrest. Collins certainly tries, but he just didn't get there in time. And this really hurts if you're Collins and you have the courage to stand in there against James Forrest. You ought to get something for it, but as you can see, all he got was a foul.
Collins will go out of the ball game. Meek will go out of the ball game. So right now, Antonio Lang back in. Clark, Cherokee Parks, Hill, and Capel in for Duke. Forrest at the line with 13 points, 3 rebounds, and he's 3 for 4 at the charity stripe. ACC basketball brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealers. Good to see Lang back in the action. Five-point Duke lead. Here's Grant Hill inside the Parks. Knocked away by Vincent, but he goes out of bounds with it.
And the change back to the man-to-man by Bobby Cremins and his Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets seems to have invigorated the Yellow Jackets on the defensive end. And that's where they're going to have to pick it up. They've got to prevent Duke from getting the easy baskets.
Look at Clark. What a job he's done tonight. Clark now has 13 points and has really helped.
Very close to a 5-second violation right there.
It'll belong to Georgia Tech. 12:45 to go in the game. As you look at Bobby Cremins. 48-41 Duke.
Bobby Cremins has seen his offense not work very smoothly in the second half. He's complaining because he thought Travis Best's last basket should have been a three-pointer. It was ruled a 2.
This foul will be on Lang. I thought it was a three-pointer as well. They said he had a foot on the line. I didn't think so.
Well, you are finding out the same thing that Bobby Cremins is discovering, and that is your opinion on that particular point. It's not really very important.
It's a moot point. That's 3 on Lang. So Travis Best goes to the line.
Best is going to have 2 opportunities from the line. And this is the play about which Bobby Cremins is complaining.
There's no question he's beyond the arc.
Well, again, Tim, your opinion and Bobby Cremins is not really the important one.
It was a bad call. Bobby's right. Best makes them both.
See, that's what happens when you wear black shoes. Your shadow's on the line, and the official thinks it's your shoe.
Hill, that's for 3. Oh, as he picked it up here. Had 33 against Clemson. He's playing well tonight. He has 13.
He just looks so comfortable with that outside perimeter jump shot, and that was not a comfortable part of his game earlier in his career.
Shot clock at 10. They have to start thinking about getting it inside now. Here's Barry.
That's a long shot.
And he drills it.
There's no question about whether or not that was a three.
(51-46) Duke. Here's Hill. Tries to give it up to Lang, and they said Lang touched it last.
I think James Forrest stole one right there.
It doesn't matter. Touche. Coach K doesn't like it. 11:30 to go in the game. We'll be back after a word from our good friends at Bud Light. Now for the Pizza Hut delivery of the game, Dan.
And in the second half, the Duke Blue Devils have done a very good job creating offense from the turnover. That's an excellent job of two-man passing and converting for the easy layup. Grant Hill to Marty Clark.
Clark, 9 points off the bench in the second half. You're looking at Hill. He had 4 points in the first half. He's got 9 here in the second half.
Duke has been able to force the turnovers and convert them in the second half. Duke also shooting 4 for 5 from behind the three-point line in the second half. Duke looks much, much sharper.
Boy, Barry had a notion to let it fly from out there again.
Duke now in a zone defense. That's a tough shot. He's now got 11 points in the ball game. The crowd would like to see a stop here by the Georgia Tech defense. Man to man.
Just under 11 minutes to play in the game.
Lang is matched up against Vincent. You know he'd like to get Vincent down inside.
Inside the Parks. The turnaround. Lang with the follow.
We talked about that Lang-Vincent matchup. Vincent did not get him blocked out. Eric Meek kept the basketball alive, allowed Lang to recover it. Vincent just overmatched in there at about 6'4". He's not big enough to compete with those guys on the board. That was a big basket.
Best a little bit frustrated working with Hill.
Hill has shown the foot speed to be able to stay with Best out on the perimeter. It's awfully tough for Best to stop and pull up and shoot over Grant Hill.
Nice pass to Moore. He's left alone. This is from beyond the arc.
He didn't get anything.
Taken away by Barry. It's a 3-on-1. Forrest. Fouled by Meek. That is 3 on Eric Meek.
That's a good play, though, by Eric Meek. There's very little you're going to be able to do in a 3-on-1 fast break. Lang makes a nice pass, gets the ball to Grant Hill. Watch as Hill tries to change from his right hand to his left hand. Barry just too quick. It's a good move by Barry to get the ball to Forrest, but Meek reacts to it very well. He draws the foul, but Forrest is going to have to convert 2 from the free throw line. That's a pretty good defensive effort by Meek in the fast break situation.
Forrest drills the first one. He's now 5 for 7 at the line. He has 15 points, 3 rebounds tonight. 14th on Tech's all-time scoring list. What a career he's had. And it's a 3-point ball game.
And James Forrest is one of the reasons why we have such a huge collection of NBA scouts in the audience this evening. This guy with the basketball is another. There's Meek again.
With a great follow on Hill's shot, Meek has 10 points.
What a lift Meek has given the Duke Blue Devils, particularly his offensive rebounding. And he has been matched up for most of his time in the game against James Forrest.
Barry left alone. Vincent with a big rebound, and they'll kick it way out front to Best. Best really having a tough time shooting over Grant Hill.
There's Meek with another rebound. That's an excellent point, Tim. Best is just having to arc the ball a little bit more to get it over the outstretched hands of Grant Hill, and that's throwing off the shot at Travis Best. They try to spread the court now for Hill. Everybody goes to the baseline. 13 seconds on the shot clock.
Down to 10. Now they move it inside to Collins. Back to Hill. Lang.
That ball did not hit the rim. The shot clock is still running.
He fires. And Newbill comes up with a rebound.
Lang, I don't think Newton's shot clock is running down.
Vincent for three. Turns it over. His place is rocking.
The Duke lead to 2, and it was a Fred Vinson three-pointer. Vinson wide open. That's his first three-point basket of the game. He's got 5 points. Vinson came into the game as the second leading three-point shooter in the Atlantic Coast Conference, second only to Randolph Childress in the number of three-pointers made, and that was a big one right there.
Travis Best with the ball. To Vincent. To Barry.
He continues to be matched up inside against Forrest.
Best frees himself up for the shot.
That was a great screen by Newbill. Parks didn't step out quickly enough on the screen, and Best was able to get by.
Tied at 55. Knocked out of bounds by Forrest. Travis Best now with 15 points.
And in this second half, Cherokee Parks has sort of been the forgotten man for the Duke Blue Devils. The ball rarely coming to Cherokee Parks on the inside. Well, lets a big guy touch the ball once in a while to keep him involved in the game. Forrest really putting a big body on Parks inside, though.
Clark's played well. This is a tough shot.
And
bucket counts, and he's fouled by Barry.
Clark now has 15 points coming off the bench for the Duke Blue Devils.
Oh, that was a tough shot, too.
Talking about the play inside, Parks and Forrest after one another in there. And then here Clark steps into the picture, does a nice move, getting his head and shoulders by Barry and drawing the foul.
Marty Clark, the 6'6" senior from Western Springs, Illinois.
Misses that free throw, but he and Meek off the Duke bench have been superb tonight.
Best looking for some rub-offs, kicks it out to Vincent. He frees up.
That was good defense by Clark to bother that three-point basket.
Meek and Parks fight over it and walk. Turnovers for Duke.
Meek and Parks are both making the argument, I didn't have the ball. I don't think that pass was thrown to Vincent. I think it was going to Newbill.
Yeah.
Vincent probably feels it.
Shot clock. Tech trailing by 2. This is Best. That ball was all the way down to the bottom. Vincent stepped on the line. How Best shot came back out, I'm not sure. That thing looked like it was all the way in.
That was really a break for the Duke Blue Devils. They were in the zone defense trying to match up and find the shooters, and somehow Travis Best escaped their notice. Barry playing defense, hitches up his drawers out there. That's what Georgia Tech has to do.
Hill gets an advantage against Vincent, can't utilize it. The running one-hander, that was in and out. Last touch by Newbill. These baskets all of a sudden look tight. Hill's ball was in and out. Antonio Lang comes in for Cherokee Parks.
Grant Hill made an impressive swooping move to the basket, but he got past the basket.
Not only does he have a great first step, but he's got a great wide wingspan.
Look at what Duke's bench has done in the second half of the basketball game.
Air ball, and Newville comes down with it.
Clark hasn't had too many of those tonight. It's a good thing that Duke's bench has come through in the second half because Cherokee Parks hasn't scored in the second half.
5.5 minutes to go. Vincent for three.
That time Marty Clark did not get out there to bother the three-point shot. Vincent caught that coming off the screen, had his perfect rhythm and drilled it.
The momentum has switched back to the Yellow Jackets.
Here's the zone defense from Georgia Tech again.
Fight for the rebound. Here's Vincent. Oh, nice pass to Forrest, and he couldn't convert it. Hill pushes it.
What hustle by Barry.
Collins, yes!
What a tremendous turnaround. It looked like Georgia Tech had the easy basket, but Forrest couldn't convert. And then Collins, who has not had a good game shooting the ball, buries the three. That quiets the crowd.
Great save by Best, but Clark comes up with it. Duke has the numbers. Collins, yes. Looking down at the
timeout.
Doug Collins is going crazy every time Chris does something. 4:14 to go in the game. 62-58. Duke. What a game. And it's time for the MCI Proof Positive Instant Replay.
In what may turn out to be a key play in this game, Georgia Tech with the 1-point lead. James Forrest sort of slips, doesn't get off the proper foot shooting the basket. That was to give Georgia Tech a 3-point lead. Duke went down to the other end, converted the 3-point basket. They have since scored. They now lead by 4. James Forrest just couldn't quite get his feet set on that play. An excellent pass by Barry. And if Georgia Tech was on to lose this game, they may look on that play as a crucial turning point.
2 consecutive trips. Forrest lost his footing at the end, and it cost him. 62-58 Duke. We've got 4:05 to go in the game.
So I think it's important for Georgia Tech to get a real good look at the basket on this trip down the court.
Here's Vincent with the left hand. Newville with the big rebound. Ball's loose. Duke comes up with it. Vincent knocks it out, and it belonged to the Blue Devils. Great hustle by both teams all the way up and down the court.
Well, that is one way to get the ball up the court. Probably don't practice it that way, but that's one way to do it.
Michigan over Indiana tonight, and I mean big. And West Virginia puts the hurt on Temple, 78-71. A couple of upsets.
Of course, Michigan has a fine basketball team playing at home, and West Virginia, awfully good squad, having a pretty good year beating Temple at home. Georgia Tech, the home team tonight, looking for the upset. These guys, these little kids right here, the wiping up the floor, they've been at it the whole game because both these teams have been down there trying to pick up the basketball. Man-to-man defense for Georgia Tech. Barry now matched up against Grant Hill. 20 seconds on the shot clock. Hill takes a glance up at the shot clock.
As does Coach K, who now calls out a play with 10 on the shot clock. Here's Hill. Capable on the baseline. Throws it away. Best against Collins, and Collins with a great defensive play.
Collins is going to get called for the personal foul. That will be the 7th team foul against Duke.
And the second on Collins.
Best really explodes out of there, protects that ball with his right hand. Collins gets him with the body as he goes by. Good hustle.
That's the 7th team foul against Duke. So now the Blue Devils are over the limit, and Best will go to the line shooting 1-1.
That's good hustle by Collins. There's nothing wrong with that. It's either that or give up the easy basket, and he didn't do it. Didn't let Best get to the basket, so there's no possibility for the three-point play.
With 3:11 in the game now, every trip to the charity stripe is big. Best with 15 points, 5 assists. He's 2 for 3 at the free throw line tonight.
Tim, you mentioned the tough stretch that the Duke Blue Devils, I guess, are at an end of right at the moment. That may have had something to do with the fact that they seem to me to be a little bit flat at the start of this basketball game as we look at their upcoming schedule, rematch with Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. But for Mike Krzyzewski's squad, whatever they did at halftime worked. He ought to try to do that a lot.
You don't get much better at halftime than Coach K. Best hits the first one. 4-time National Coach of the Year.
Keep your hands in your space.
Got a quick look at Eric Meek sitting on the bench. He's had a big game coming off that bench. He and Clark have combined for 25 points in this basketball.
Followed by Forrest. 1-point game.
Now that's the third time in this basketball game as Forrest gets points 17 and 18 that Georgia Tech has been able to convert off a missed free throw. Not a good job by Duke at all. Georgia Tech back to the zone.
Good defense by Best, and Clark hits it anyway.
What a tremendous game Clark has had. He now has 17 points. Almost double his average.
64-61 Duke with 2.5 to go. Big trip here for the Yellow Jackets, and they throw it away. Hill. It'll be Georgia Tech basketball.
Collins and Clark ran into one another. Grant Hill, I think, was passing the ball to Clark, and Collins never saw Clark. He was trying to catch up to the ball. They ran into one another, and so Georgia Tech's going to get it. With 2:19 left in the game, they're down 3. And they're going to call timeout.
2:15 to go. 64-61 will return after these messages from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Time for the Blue Devils of Duke.
Marty Clark is going to penetrate to the baseline, create some opening by drifting back just a little bit on his jump shot. He's got 17 points in the basketball game, 13 of those this half off the bench. You can see he and Meek, what a tremendous job they've both done. And Duke has really needed it because Cherokee Parks, even though he scored 10 points in the first half, he hasn't scored in the second half, and Antonio Lang has been limited to only 4 points. This is a big possession for Georgia Tech. Your Bobby Cremins, you just called a timeout. Really need to score right here.
They go inside. Newble on Parks. Oh, Meek takes it away. It'll belong to Duke.
I really find it hard to believe that Bobby Cremins called that timeout and set up the play so Ivano Newbill would back in against Cherokee Parks and try to, looked like he was trying to pass the ball to James Forrest. Georgia Tech just didn't execute very well. Here's Newbill backing in against Cherokee Parks. Parks does a nice job holding his position there. Grant Hill comes over to help. Meek with the grab. Forrest knocks it out of his hand. That's the last thing Bobby Cremins wanted, was a turnover in that situation.
Meek goes out of the ball game. Antonio Lang comes back in for Duke.
Georgia Tech with some 1-2-1-1 pressure. We're going to get a foul now on James Forrest.
Timeouts. Duke has 2. Tech has 1. You see that Duke is already over the limit.
Georgia Tech now just picked up their 15th foul, so they still have 1 more foul to give.
1:48 to go in the ball game. A win puts Duke a half game ahead of Carolina in the ACC standings.
Good entry pass by Grant Hill.
Grant Hill at the point with Martise Moore on him. Shot clock is
shot
10.
clock.
Inside the Parks, the jump hook is good.
That's Cherokee Parks' first 2 points in the second half. What a great job he did getting position inside.
5-point lead. Vest is fouled.
Duke foul on number 21.
Travis Best, for one of the few times in the second half, is able to blow by Grant Hill out on the perimeter. Lang comes over to help out Best.
Vincent.
He's got time.
3 seconds. Barry has to readjust and cannot get it.